Cole Cubelic just named Pete Golding one of the top 5 new coaches in America because he told Lane Kiffin to punt the ball. Yes, we'll explain.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everydayers? I'm Stephen Willis. Welcome back to Locked On Ole Miss. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. If that first bet wins, head to FanDuel.com right now to get started. Big Monday show. Cole Cubelic just stamped Pete Golding as a top 5 new head coach in America and dropped an FU coach story that explains this whole Kiffin-Pete relationship, honestly. Also, Athlon's Kyle Wood says that Trinidad Chambliss is going to break Jaxson Dart's single-season Ole Miss passing record. Should have did it a year ago. He thinks it happens this year. And on the diamond, the hard truth, guys. We lost the series at Alabama. We drew the number 9 seed in Hoover against Missouri. And I was wrong this weekend. And there's no hosting. We're going to fix all of that today. So let's get started. Cole Cubelic on On3's Crane and Cone ranked Pete Golding the number 5 new head coach in America. He dropped a pretty cool Division III grinder story. He told the FU coach analytics story that we're going to get into in just a little bit. He went on the record that Lane Kiffin tried to take Pete to LSU, which we all knew that after the Oklahoma game. And considering I chose to close every episode for 2 years with analytics is just the old English word for bad football, you know I'm kind of taking a victory lap right now. Seriously, it makes no sense what was going on. You needed that guy, and the history and the records all back that up. So we're going to get into that over the course of the next 10 or so minutes. So Cole Cubelic, he doesn't just hand out rankings. I mean, there's a method to his madness, so to speak. He doesn't just drop them to figureheads. So Tuesday, May the 12th, last week, Cubelic went on On3's Crane and Cone podcast and ranked the top 5 new head coaches in college football. No big deal, right? Pete Golding came in at number 5. Pretty cool. So whenever you look, there's several predictions over the week, including the one from Athlon that we're going to touch in the next segment. But listen to what Cole Cubelic actually said, because this is the entire case for Pete, in my opinion. He said, quote, "I have a lot of confidence in Pete Golding because I think he's ready for this spot. He's old school. He went through the Division III ranks and was a graduate assistant for a while. He was a guy that just grinded his way up. A lot of people don't remember that he is the second longest serving coordinator in the Saban tree behind Kirby Smart. He is somebody that was at Alabama for like 5 years, and Saban did not want him to leave when he left. He was somebody that in a system that chews up assistant coaches and spits them out, Pete Golding was kind of wanted there. And Pete, honestly, if it wasn't for a family situation, would have probably wanted to stay there. Cubelic went on to say he understands ball as well or better than anybody. He's the only coach that I've been lost in a football conversation with in a TV meeting. I've had to stop him and tell him to go backwards. Think about that. Cole Cubelic is a guy that breaks down film. He does analysis at a very deep level. If you want to learn football, he is one of the guys that really can talk football, and he has the ability to relate what you're saying. So he knows what he's talking about. And it's very rare that you sit into a room to where Cole Cubelic gets lost, but he gets lost with Pete Golding. Heck, I think Nick Saban got lost with Pete Golding. That's the level at which this mind works. And because of that, there is an utmost confidence in the game of football, playing football by Pete Golding. He truly believes what he is doing is right because he knows the game so well. There's not many people that can have a conversation with him about the game. So this is the FU coach story, okay? Per Cubelic. Lane Kiffin himself admitted that Pete would get into his headset during games and say, quote, just punt the ball. Hand the ball off and punt. My defense needs a break. We are winning the game. Stop doing this, end quote. Cubelic's line, every coach needs an FU coach, which is true. And you can look at the record over the last 6 years that Lane Kiffin had at Ole Miss and could tell the point where Pete Golding came on board when he finally had that FU coach. The first 3 years, let's see, he had Matt Corral and managed to win 5 games the first season. He won 8 games the third season with the beginning of the Jaxson Dart era before Pete got there. I think he won 23 games over the course of 3 years, something like that. Let's see, 10 games, 5 games, that's 15, and 8 games, that's 23 games over the course of the first 3 years at Ole Miss. Pete Golding comes in, he's won 10 games, 11 games, and 13 games. That's the difference of winning football being played. So this is what I was talking about with the confidence of knowing the game and being willing to say this to absolutely everybody. Pete Golding is that guy. Pete Golding was Kiffin's FU coach. And there's proof on the field, honestly, if we're going to be real. Lucas Carneiro hit a 55-yard field goal. Then he hit a 56-yard field goal in the first quarter of that Sugar Bowl. Cubelic is on the record in saying Kiffin would have likely gone for that in both situations. He would have. Anybody that has followed Lane Kiffin at all realizes that. There's no way he would have kicked those field goals. And without those field goals, you likely don't beat Georgia that game. So Ole Miss had a better conclusion to the season with Pete Golding than they would have had with Lane Kiffin, period. End of story. There is no doubt that Ole Miss would have lost the Georgia game, and there's a chance that he would have been so wrapped up in what was going on that he would have lost the Tulane game. That's not a hot take. That is an analyst on the air telling you who actually made the right calls in the biggest game of the year. So who was the operational head coach in 2025? Because there were certain games to where Kiffin didn't go for it, didn't go crazy, didn't do the 9-year-old playing Madden thing that he did. Was that Pete telling him and keeping him grounded over the course of the game? Was Pete the football coach brain for Ole Miss in 2025? Was Pete the punt it and trust the defense voice in the headset? So Pete's voice likely dragged Ole Miss to 13 wins, a program record last season. Kiffin tried to take him to LSU immediately after the Oklahoma game. Pete wasn't going to go, but that doesn't mean Kiffin didn't try. Pete chose Ole Miss, period. There was no way he was leaving. And the football brain stayed in Oxford. The analytics brain left for Baton Rouge. Then comes Athlon in the same week. Kyle Wood, who is one of the writers there, said that Trinidad breaks the record for single season passing yards. I'll co-sign that in segment 2. Stephen Lazan actually thinks that LSU is going to make the playoffs in Kiffin in year 1, and that's going to be hard without him having an FU coach. We saw the difference in with and without. Listen, the man hasn't won a college football playoff game, so don't expect him to start now. But that's not really the case in point. Everydayers, the case is closed on whether or not that Pete is the right guy, because Pete is absolutely the right guy. National media just walked into our living room and put that on the record. Everydayers already know this, but now everybody else knows that too. Should be interesting to see what is going on right there. So drop a comment right now. Where does Pete Golding finish in the final national head coaching rankings at the end of 2026? Top 5, top 10, or does he prove Cubelic conservative and crash into the top 3? All of that is going to be interesting. So thanks for watching the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. It's the most watched Ole Miss podcast out there by a long shot. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Coming up, Athlon's Kyle Wood says that Trinidad Chambliss will break Jaxson Dart's single-season passing record. And he's probably right. And he's actually being conservative. I've got a 4-piece case and a 59-yard start line. The receiver room has a minimum of 3 5-star players. JDB is the accelerant, and the chip on the shoulder for Trinidad Chambliss, well, that doesn't quit. All of that is coming up next. All right, the NBA playoffs are here and every possession matters. If you're looking to get even closer to the action, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started right now. New customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that first bet wins. That's right, turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. I like using FanDuel during the playoffs because everything I need is right there in front of me. You can check stats, trends, matchups before making your picks, which makes the whole experience feel a lot more informed. Whether you're looking at player props or just following your favorite stars, it adds another level of excitement to every single game. It's really easy to navigate the app, and it makes playoff basketball even that much engaging from start to finish. If basketball isn't your thing, right now you can get Trinidad Chambliss as the third favorite to win the Heisman Trophy on FanDuel, only behind CJ Carr and Arch Manning. So head to FanDuel.com today to get started. That's FanDuel. Play your game. All right, do us a favor, like, subscribe, and comment on this video. Subscribe to the podcast on whichever audio podcatcher you're listening to and give it a 5-star review. It costs nothing, but it keeps all of this free. Get Locked On Ole Miss ad free with the Everydayer Club. Members only Discord access. Join at LockedOnOleMiss.com LockedOnOleMiss.supercast.com. Today you can hear from Corey Burton. He's about to start doing series by series breakdowns of John David Baker schematically, looking at games like Memphis and Tulsa and stuff like that, so you can see exactly what he is trying to do. You have Dalen Flowers is available. You have Mike Huseman that's available as well. You can check those all out here, and they're all available in the newsletter and videos online with the Everydayer Club. Newsletter is fantastic for anybody that is not joining. It is by far the best newsletter in all of the Ole Miss sphere as well. I'm really, really, as you can tell, proud about that. So whenever you look at Trinidad Chambliss, he threw for, 59 yards in the first 2 games of the season. He still finished third all time at Ole Miss, quarterbacking the ball. I mean, do the math there. Now, granted, Ole Miss played 15 games over the season, but you want to be at a point where you're playing 15 games of the season. That's what this playoff is going to bring. The quarterback pantheon at Ole Miss, Charlie Connery, Archie Manning, Eli Manning. You have Chad Kelly has 4,042 yards passing. You have Jaxson Dart, who has the record at 4,279 or something like that. That is the record for all of that. Trinidad Chambliss finished third despite not playing the first 2 games. If he'd have played the first 2 games, he would have destroyed that record. Absolutely, he would have if you saw what happened. Trinidad in 2025 had 3,957 yards, third in the entire FBS, third all-time at Ole Miss, and he did that without starting games 1 and 2. Wood's verbatim quote is, Chambliss's 3,957 passing yards in 2025 were good for the third most in the FBS. That mark also ranked number 3 all-time for the Rebels, despite the fact that Chambliss threw for just 59 yards in his first 2 games in relief of Austin Simmons. So here's the 4-piece case that you need to know about Trinidad Chambliss moving forward, bigger than what Wood put on paper. Piece number 1. The 59-yard stat line, Trinidad averaged 350 passing yards per game once he took over full-time. If he played the full season, he would have broken it last year. Stretched 350 yards over 15 games in that system. It's 4,550 yards or something like that. It's at a point where not only he would have broke it, he would have annihilated it last year. So Wood says he breaks it. The math says he kind of obliterates it. Piece number 2, weapons at Ole Miss are loaded. Now, everybody knows Deuce Alexander and what he brings to the table. He had an amazing year. But when you look at it, Jonte Cook, Caleb Cunningham, Darrell Gill, Horatio Fields, Traylon Ray, Isaiah Hartrip. At tight end, Luke Haas, Caleb Odom. At running back, Kewan Lacey, Mekhi Frazier. Second in the FBS in rushing touchdowns last year was Keon Lacey. This is the most weapons that any Ole Miss quarterback has ever had. It's going to force defenses to pick their poison. So I need you to hear this part. This is important. Piece number 3. JDB is the accelerant. John David Baker is a matchup style offensive coordinator. He builds sub-type packages around individual playmakers that he can exploit. Trinidad won the Sugar Bowl MVP, so we're already dealing with a quarterback that is the best in the country. Year 1 in the system, year 2 of a quarterback OC relationship of that kind, since he was here for the playoffs. He had a head start. The accelerator goes on fire here. And also, when you look at John David Baker's games, you can look at full games. And I recommend everybody watch full games of what's going on. Don't watch highlights. Highlights are just flash reels. Watch real games. And don't watch the players. And if a play worked, watch what they were trying to do. ECU low-key had a quarterback problem a year ago. Had really good stats. He put up good numbers. But if everything that was there to be hit would have been hit, he would have been a top 2 or 3 quarterback in the entire country. Because that's what John David Baker schemed up with the weapons that he had at his disposal at East Carolina. So piece number 4, the chip on Trinidad Chambliss' shoulder. The Mississippi Supreme Court denied the NCAA's eligibility appeal on March 31st. That kind of put it to rest. Heck, Bomani Jones in that weird Vanity Fair article said that he only had $100 to stretch over 2 weeks or something like that at Ferris State when he first entered college. Now he has agents and marketing reps and all of that stuff all over the place. Per Dellinger, he signed a $5 million plus contract, highest in college football potentially. He turned down the NFL. He turned down the portal. Turned down LSU. So don't touch that dial. The chip is in the variable that nobody at Athlon is modeling, honestly. Wood prices in talent. He does not price in the most motivated quarterback in the entire country. So my verdict, Wood's right, but he's also being conservative. I think Trinidad pushes 4,500 yards, 4,700 yards this season. I think he takes the single season mark. And I think he does that while making a Heisman trip to New York. You've heard me talk about it. Connerly, Archie, Eli, Kelly, Dart, Chambliss, write it down. Chambliss is going to be on the pantheon of Ole Miss quarterbacks going into next season. It's going to be a really big thing for everybody to pay attention to of what can happen. So I want to hear from you right now, everydayers. Drop your number in the comments. What does Trinidad Chambliss finish 2026 with in passing yards? Under 4,279 and Dart's record stands up to 4,500. My number at 4,700, or does he hit a full 5,000 to end the conversation potentially forever? Smash that like button if you think Wood is being conservative, and share this episode with an Ole Miss fan in your life who still doesn't know that Trinidad Chambliss is the number 1 quarterback in the SEC. All of that. And remember, we're free and available on all the podcast apps and on YouTube. And a special hello to the insiders and everydayers who make the show what it is. Your team every day. So Ole Miss dropped 2 out of 3 against Alabama this weekend. Tough look. Ole Miss is likely traveling to a regional. Hoover means next to nothing other than the fact that you play a ball game and there's a trophy at the end of it. But it may hurt you moving forward into the regionals. Is this a chance to get right? Is this something that Ole Miss can do to help out the baseball program? Because at this point, it's all about the regional and trying to figure out a way to get out of it. Whenever we come back, we are going to talk about that next. So the hard truth on baseball, Ole Miss lost the Alabama baseball series. The Ole Miss drew the number 9 seed in Hoover against Missouri. Hosting is likely gone. We're going to be going on to the road, and I owe you a little bit of a recalibration potentially on Hunter Elliott and Cade Townsend, honestly. I oversold him on Friday. I thought this was going to be the biggest game since his start in Omaha, and it didn't work out for him. The good news is, though, Walker Hooks is the absolute pitching MVP of this team. I don't want to hear about Cade Townsend. I don't want to hear about Taylor Rabe. I think Walker Hooks is the MVP of what's going on. So here's the truth. Ole Miss lost to Alabama 5-4 on Thursday. Elliott took the loss, 8 innings, or 5 earned runs, or all that stuff. Friday, Ole Miss 9, Alabama 0. They absolutely railed, hit the ball out of the ballpark. When Ole Miss hits home runs, they win the game usually. Taylor Rabe was brilliant that day. He was nearly unhittable for Ole Miss in that game. He might be the best pitcher on the staff for Ole Miss as far as starters go right now. And then there was the game with Cade Townsend, Alabama 6, Ole Miss 2. Ole Miss's bats, I think they had 4 hits for the entire game. There was a lot of balls hit to the warning track in that game, to where if they get out of the park, Ole Miss is probably going to be pretty good. They did not, and you got to see exactly what that means for Ole Miss. So series-wise, Alabama 2, Ole Miss 1. Alabama's hosting. Final regular season record for Ole Miss, 36-20, 15-15 in SEC play. They're getting the number 9 seed in Hoover. It all starts, I guess, Tuesday, potentially. 3 truths here, though. None of them are spin. All of them are just the facts. Truth 1, Ole Miss is safe in the field. Before anybody tells you to sweat what goes on after Hoover, that doesn't exist. Ole Miss is going to be a 2 seed somewhere, and they're going to be able to play with ball. Their ranking is at a point where they're going to be fine. RPI-wise, they're going to be fine. The only question was going to be whether or not they were going to host, and it doesn't look like they are, period. I think it's weird whenever you look at that conversation. If anybody brings that up, they're trolling. Truth number 2, hosting, in my opinion, is gone. 15-15 in the SEC will not get it. You can try to win 3 or 4 games in Hoover to make your resume look better, but I don't know if you want to put the regional at risk for a chance at this game, because if your bats don't show up, you're going home on Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever it might be. It just is, especially with a big part that is hard to hit home runs out of, like Hoover is. So, truth number 3. This is going to be a road regional, likely as a 2 seed, but maybe as a 3, I guess they could do that. The path to Omaha is 4 weekends, likely 3 of them on the road. Not counting Omaha, essentially. I guess 2 weekends on the road, and then Omaha. That's going to be hard. I'm not pretending that it's not going to be. But remember this. Every time Ole Miss has gone to Omaha, they've done so not hosting a regional. Remember in 2022, they got into the field as the last team on the field, as a 3 seed, and made a run and won the national title. Ole Miss has pieces in place, and if you get into that weird park in TD Ameritrade in Omaha, who knows what can happen. So this might not be a terrible thing. Now, the goal at the beginning of the season obviously was host a regional and all of that stuff. I think the way it sets up gives a chance for Ole Miss to kind of relax. And Ole Miss relaxing will be interesting, especially if they put them in someplace like Southern, or if they go out to Eugene, Oregon, or Corvallis, Oregon. But I tell you what, one of the reasons I believe in this team moving forward is Walker Hooks. 2.12 ERA. He's been good this year. Now, I know he gave up the walk-off in Game 3 against Arkansas. I get that. But that's going to happen. That's baseball. In SEC play only, 1.73 ERA, 7 SEC saves. Opponents hitting just 183 against him. He's the NCBWA Stopper of the Week mid-season stopper of the year mid-season watch list. So here's the truth. Walker Hooks might be the reason that Ole Miss is safe in the field, because he does a good job of stopping everything at the end of the game. I know you have Tristan Bissetta with 20 home runs and Judd DeMark with 20 home runs. Judd DeMark is the career home run leader at Ole Miss. I know that Will Furnace is getting real hot, and so is a lot of players for this Ole Miss team. They can make a run. And that's the thing about this team. There's not a program in the country that Ole Miss cannot beat. But there's also not many programs in the country that Ole Miss, they can't lose to. It all comes down to what they do with their bats and playing actually baseball from time to time. So that's the show, everyone. Everydayers, 2 SEC network heavyweights stamped Ole Miss in 1 week. Trinidad's about to put his name above Jaxson Dart in the record book, potentially, and on the diamond. Some hard truths that you need to look at, but Walker Hooks gives Ole Miss a chance as well. Interesting stuff there. Last one, everydayers, and this one kind of matters. I just owned the weekend. Tell me in the comments, do you respect a host who tells you when he's wrong? Or do you want spin? Be honest. I can take it. And tell me what you think, where this team lands in the regional. Which regional do you want to see Ole Miss drawn into? Hattiesburg, Eugene, Corvallis. Drop their bracket prediction below. And if you made it this far in this episode, you're a real everydayer. Thank you for that. Hit the like button one time for me. It's free, and it tells you to push this to other Ole Miss fans. It will mean a lot. Thank you very much. And as always, tell me in the comments what you're seeing, because everydayers, you're usually ahead of the national media on this type of stuff. You're not the smartest audience and all about ball for no reason. Thanks for tuning in today to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Before we get out of here, trivia answer time. Earlier this week, I asked you to name 2 Heisman co-favorites ahead of Trinidad Chambliss on FanDuel. Well, the answer, C.J. Carr of Notre Dame and Arch Manning of Texas, both at plus 800. Trinidad's at plus 1,100. Get used to seeing those names this fall. So subscribe, hit the bell, drop a comment, and we will see you tomorrow. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. We're going to tell you what's really going on every single day. We're on all the social channels, so check that out as well. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Ole Miss ad-free, plus members-only Discord access, and more. Head to lockedonolemess.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we're going to send you on over to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On College Football or Locked On SEC. Subscribe, hit the bell, drop a comment, and we will see you tomorrow, everydayers. And as always, hotty toddy.